Welcome to Forever, man. Let's go. Come on. It's forever. No surrender. Yeah. You know that this right here forever. Go. And there will be no surrender. Now allow me to reintroduce myself.
You're now tuned in to the Dads Who Live podcast. I'm Joel Staley with my co-host Tyler Gaeta.
On this week's episode of the Dads Who Live podcast, we'll be talking to relationship coach Bryan Reeves about part 2. There's a lot more juicy info to go over. Don't miss it. You can also check us out if you like this sweet apparel that we've been wearing during the podcast. You can also get this stuff at www.dadswholiftapparel.com.
You know, I don't believe in 50-50 relationships.
100.
That's right. I believe in 100 relationships. Both people have 100% responsibility to make it work.
So, Bryan, we got a Facebook Live going right now in the group and the forum. We told guys to ask some questions from our Dads Who Live Facebook group. Can you read some of those, Joel, or can you tell? Has anybody asked anything?
I can pretend to read them and then just ask my own.
No.
Ryan asks, well, I don't. Let me just add, I got a couple more. I can't read those. So
we'll pick up the phone and read it.
I got to admit, I know what it says, dude. I've been running this group for fucking 2 years. The number one question is going to be, my wife never wants to have sex. How do I get her to have more sex? Now, how much of that is lack of communication? How much is just assuming she doesn't want to have sex and feeling defeated?
This is Joel asking for everybody else.
Yeah. Yep. So, obviously, that's got to be the one you get more than anything, I would assume, from married guys.
Safety, right? How safe do they feel with you?
I just want to call out the way that it's framed. How do I get my wife to have sex? You know, what I hear from a lot of women is, how do I get my man, my husband, my partner to be more present? How do I get so just the framing of that question, notice how that is just, it's a false premise, let's say. Because you can't get your wife to do anything she doesn't want to do. And if you can, she's going to hurt herself. She's going to be abusing herself if she's doing what she doesn't want to do. In the same way that you can't get a man to do anything he doesn't want to do. He won't respect himself if he's not doing it of his own volition, right? And this is the great dilemma. But the good news is that it's not a complicated solution, because, and this is where also masculine, feminine intimacy can be really helpful. And also just understanding how, we're talking again in a heterosexual context, how the female body in general works. You see, the male body, we feel, so our bodies release oxytocin, the bonding chemical, through physical touch. You know, when we're actually physically touched, we feel more connected. A lot of men, their love language tends to be touch above the different love languages. For women, it tends to work differently. Women need to feel connected first. They need to feel loved first, so their body can release oxytocin, so that their body can then relax and open for sex to be possible. If she doesn't feel connected, if she doesn't feel nurtured and loved and seen and heard, and her body will literally tense up and she can't even open for sex. Like you just can't even put a penis in there, and not in a way that's going to feel good to her anyway. And so this is what a lot of us we have it backwards. It's like, rather than how do I get my wife to have sex, a way more useful question is, how can I help my wife feel more connected to me so that her body can relax? Because when her body is relaxed, she is going to feel more sexual. She's going to feel more connected to herself. And again, I'm talking kind of, every relationship has its own unique qualities and things. I don't know what's going on in that with that particular relationship, but So I'm simplifying what can sometimes be a complicated question, but that's really, I want to reframe the question. How can I help my wife feel more connected? Because it's in that place that sex is more likely to just naturally happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And how often do you find that the answer is serving the other partner, or does that go back to the, duality of the masculine feminine, where some partners want to be served, some partners want to do the serving? There's probably not one cookie cutter answer, but
Well, I believe that the best relationships, both people are serving each other. Both people are being of service to the other. It's just that what we're offering to the other is often different. For example, there are certain gifts, let's say, that my partner enjoys from me that I wouldn't really enjoy from her. And vice versa. So, but we both are, showing up and giving the best of our gifts to each other. My partner, she's very in touch with her emotions. I tend to be more disconnected from my emotions. Emotionality is not a gift I offer her. Emotionality is definitely a gift she offers me. Like, she fills my life with emotion and again, a lot of men, we resist this because our own nervous systems aren't capable of holding a lot of emotion. So it can be overwhelming, and that's where we call her crazy or emotional or unstable or all these things. But when we realize that we've chosen this person because we want emotionality. We want to feel life more. So we've chosen this person who feels so much, which is not an excuse for her to abuse us with what she's feeling. I mean, she's got her own work to do. This is her 100%, to be able to feel what she's feeling in a way that's not abusive towards us, because it can be, right? But coming back to your question, I mean, this is the gift. I love her emotionality. I am vigilant about never making her feel like she's too emotional for me. I am so vigilant about that, even when she is, and sometimes she is. But I am vigilant about not communicating that to her, because I know if she hears from me she's being too emotional, she will shut it down, and that will not serve our relationship. Right? And for example, one of the gifts that I have for her is perspective. I'm very perspective oriented, very kind of, I'm really good at compartmentalizing and kind of picking life apart and understanding, kind of, making maps of life, and that's why I do as a coach. That's a gift that I have for her that she really welcomes. Not always. Sometimes she doesn't want my perspective. Sometimes she just wants my presence, just my listening. But you see what I mean, though? This is one of the exchanges that we do, which makes us a really powerful partnership, full of perspective and feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I will get into some of the...
if I'm just leading with...
I'll get some of the member questions here. While I do find a good one, you mentioned earlier that if you're having troubles with the relationship, you should definitely seek professional help. Get a third party in there to open up the lines of communication. How would a husband, because this is a Dads Who Lift group, how would a husband broach that conversation with the wife? Hey, I think we should get help. Hey, I think we should start seeing a professional.
Yeah. It's a great question. Obviously not in all cases, but most, and again, I know we're talking very heterosexual, and we'll just keep going with that, but most women are thrilled when their male partner says, hey, I think we should get some help to make this relationship better. Most women are fucking thrilled. Most women have to drag their guy to get that kind of help. But some women won't. Some women, they might take on the more masculine role and say, we don't need help, we're fine. What's wrong? Getting help means something's wrong. But regardless, if anyone who wants to get support and doesn't, who wasn't sure how to broach the subject with their partner, what I always recommend is saying, look, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with the relationship. I don't even like the words right and wrong. Just, between us, I banish those words from my coaching work, right and wrong. but it's helpful. It can be helpful to state that there's nothing wrong with you. You know, I love you. I care about you. I care about our relationship, and I want to figure out how we can feel better together. How we can do this better. Right? I want to have more love, more connection, more good experiences with you, and I'd love to get help to do that because I'm at a loss. Like, just acknowledging I'm at a loss. I don't know how to make things any better. I've tried, or whatever. I just don't know. So notice how I'm owning it. Even in that, I'm taking full responsibility. I've tried. I don't know what to do. I'm not saying you don't know what to do. I'm not saying you fuck things up and we need help, or you're this and that. You're wacky and daddy and ridiculous and absurd. You do all these things and we need help. No, I'm saying I don't know what to do, how to make this better. I know I want it to be better. I know I care about you. You're the person that I've built my life with, and if we can make this work, I want to make this work. Would you be willing to get support with me? Would you be willing to notice that? That's all. I'm taking all the responsibility. That is a way that your partner. It's like I'm inviting my partner into a better, bigger, more beautiful experience, not obligating them or else.
And I want to point out, too, in that, how much you are, so you're not projecting any of your feelings onto her, right? You're just talking about you, your emotions, and your experience. And you've said it to me multiple times that women have to feel safe with you, not just physically, but emotionally as well. Even if you're upset with something, they have to feel emotionally safe. You know, you've said it to me multiple times. If a woman feels safe with you, she'll never leave you, you know? And so it comes down to, like, how do I, if I'm upset about something, or say we're in a fight, or she does something to me that I think is, you know, draw over the line or not okay, or it may end our relationship, you know, how do I communicate without projecting anything on her and keep it just me? And it's funny because when I went through, when I found out that the girl I was dating was dating or seeing another man or whatever it was, I sent a text to her, and I had this long drawn out, or this long thought out text, and I didn't like call her any names or anything like that, but it was very much so like, this is what I found out, this is how I feel, and like, this is what I think about you and why you did it, you know? And so, what's that?
You called her the crazy one.
I did call her the crazy one. I did. So, and so then we dissect that. You know, I sent him to Bryan right away, and then we dissect that at one of our sessions. And he's like, all right, now go through this and cross out anything that's not fact or your feeling or your experience. You know, and so I took this long ass text that, like, I thought was very poised, very like put together and thought out, like very like, oh yeah, you know, I got this type text. And I crossed out all the shit where I'm saying, you did this because this, you should do this, you should do that, that was not right of you. You know, I cross all that junk out where I'm projecting everything on her and leave only my emotions and my experience and the way that I feel. And that fucking long ass text was short as hell. And it was better, man. It was way better. It was like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what happened. This is how it affects me. This is how I feel. And what I've learned is, like, it doesn't need to go beyond that. You don't need to have anything else in that. You're going to get a way better response from that, and not projecting anything onto that other person. Keep your shit, and just say how you feel.
Absolutely, man. It's such a beautiful practice, because what you're doing is by honoring that line between what is mine and what is hers, to figure out or to know, or what's, you know, by honoring that line, you're creating a space within which, yeah, she can feel safe to know, okay, he's not gonna judge me, he's not gonna order me around, he's not gonna put names on me that don't feel good, he's gonna have his own experience, he's gonna tell the truth of his own experience, because she does want to know. You know, a woman who's really ready for a relationship, who really wants to connect, and that is going to bring her towards you. That is going to draw her into you, because she wants to feel the real you. She doesn't want to, if she's caught up in her own defenses, like, this guy's attacking me verbally, emotionally, intellectually, telling me, she can't, again, her body's going to tense up. She's going to want to get the hell out of there. I would want to get the hell out of there. I don't want to be in any kind of conversation like that. I mean, yeah, same for us men. It's no different. So it's what you're doing is, I call it relationship by invitation, not obligation. Nobody wants to be obligated to be in the relationship. That feels shitty. That's terrible. Nobody wants to do it by obligation. But invitation, now that's a whole different experience. And that's what you're doing through that practice of just owning fully what is mine, what's happening for me, what's going on for me, what I'm aware of in me, in my thoughts and my emotions and my feelings and my body. I'm inviting my partner to care about me. And if they don't want to care about me, then boy, I'm going to find quick, and I probably shouldn't be in that relationship.
And that's where you got to set the healthy boundaries, right? Because, you're owning your shit, but that also doesn't mean that you don't let people walk all over you. So, it can say, something to this effect, like, hey, I support you in what you want to do. This is something else you taught me. I support you in blank. I want you to be happy, but this is the way that makes me feel. And if you continue to do that, then I support that.
That's right.
But it's going to take me here. Like, this is a cutoff line. This is a line. Or like, I don't know what's going to happen if you cross that line, but I don't know if that's something I can come back from. And then you're owning everything. You're keeping everything on your side.
That's right.
But you're still setting that line, like, listen, if you do this to me, like, if you value me in your life and you do this, I'm going to be out.
That's right. I mean, we're doing relationships with other adults. They have their own agency. They can make their own choices. Who am I to say what a woman should or shouldn't do? That's not my place.
And who's to say what's right? There's not one. If their prerogative in life is to date multiple people, which most aren't, but if that is their prerogative, then who am I to say that that's not right? Or if that's just where they're at in their life and they're not to the point that I'm at yet, who am I to say that's not right?
That's exactly right. That's right. I have the clarity that doesn't work for me. It's not what I want to experience, but if you want to experience that, go for it.
Exactly.
Play it out. I'm not coming along for that ride, though.
Exactly. I want off this fucking roller coaster.
Bryan, how you doing on time? I know you mentioned you wanted to take a nap, and we've had you on the hook for about an hour and a half now.
I'm good.
All right, perfect.
You got any other questions you want to read off there, Jill?
There's no questions on there.
Okay.
The only question was, how can I motivate my wife to start working out? Do you have any tips for that one?
Yeah, to start working out.
My wife to start working out.
I think that one's got to come from love, man.
Tricky one, because here's what you have to know is that your wife, assuming she's the more feminine partner in your relationship, she rises through praise. She probably does not respond well to challenge. Certainly not from you, her intimate partner. So if you challenge her, I was walking with my wife. We walk up this really steep hill by our home with our dog. And I remember a couple months ago, we were walking up the hill, and I challenged her. I was like, "Babe, let's race to the next car. It's uphill." She looked at me like I was a fucking alien. Are you kidding me? She's like, "No, I don't. Why would I do that? And I just want to enjoy my time with you." And I remember there was a part of me that was like, "Oh man, I want the challenge. That's the masculine. The masculine rises to challenge." But my wife, we're not doing a masculine. We're not buddies. We're intimate partners. So she rises through praise. So, you can't challenge your wife to go to the gym. And maybe you can. I mean, look, nothing I say applies to everybody. But just the fact that you're asking the question leads me to believe that that's probably not a viable option to challenge her. So what I would encourage you instead is praise her and acknowledge the things that you do like about whether it's her body or her health, but the more you praise her, the more she's even gonna check in on her body, and the more she's gonna notice the parts of her that she likes. And it's like, let her follow her joy to the gym, not her pain. If she's going to the gym because she's in pain because of the way you see her, that's not good for your relationship. That's not going to go well.
That makes total sense.
You got some more married questions, Joel? I feel like.
Yeah, I got a ton. So let's say I've gotten the book recommended to me by a lot of, I don't know, random people and some experts just on podcasts and various books or whatever, but I can't remember the number, but it's like the 5 love languages, or you got to know the book. Do you put any stock into love languages at all?
What's that?
Do you put any stock into love languages? Like, some people want to be touched and given presents, some people want to be listened to, and is that viable at all?
I do. I actually think that's a very helpful thing to be aware of. For example, and I'll share this because my partner and I, we've talked about this publicly. Her love language is words of affirmation. My love language is touch, which just means that when I'm touched, especially in like I can tell she's wanting to touch me, I feel loved. When I'm not touched, I start to feel disconnected. And likewise for her, words of affirmation. When the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, touch, quality time, gifts, and what's the 5th? I'm missing one. Words of affirmation, touch, quality time, gifts, and acts of service. That's it. And for example, gifts, that's a love language. You can give me a gift, I kind of don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's how I am too.
But like gifts don't speak love to me.
Mine's time, man.
Which also, by the way, means yours is time, quality time.
I like time.
Yeah, that's probably my second, quality time as well.
Touch would be my second, so we're right around there.
Touch would what?
I said touch would be my second, so we're in the same area. Yeah.
So, words of affirmation, I love receiving praise, but it doesn't really light me up. I don't know why, it just doesn't. So it also holds that I'm not good at offering it. I'm really good at offering touch because I know touch means love to me. And this is what we often do. And this is why I think it is a valuable thing to be aware of. What is your partner's love language and what is yours? So that, because a lot of times, like, let's say if mine was gifts and I'm just running around giving gifts to my partner and hers, or my partner's was gifts and she's giving me gifts and I'm like not appreciating them, she's going to feel totally devastated. And I'm not giving her gifts. She's going to feel devastated. But for me, it's just like, well, I don't understand what's happening here. Like, it's a fucking gift. Who cares? It doesn't mean anything. But for her, it means love, right? So when we know this, and knowing, for example, my partner's is words of affirmation, it's still hard sometimes because it's not natural. It doesn't come naturally for me. But I can practice, praising her and giving her words of affirmation, even through text messages and ways, and I know that it'll help her feel more connected to me, and that matters. When she feels more connected to me, it doesn't matter if what I'm doing makes me feel connected. When she feels more connected, she shows up in ways that, she'll touch me more, for example. And it's like it's like you can either spiral up or spiral down in relationships. I generally choose to spiral up, although I do my fair share of spiraling down, I'll admit. I'm on this journey too. But it's like little practices like this, the love languages can help you spiral a relationship up into connection and harmony and peace of mind and all of that. So yeah, I think it's a good practice.
I want to go over one thing real quick because I know this podcast is getting to be pretty long here, but there's one thing that you had suggested that I could do, as to which I'm not doing. But you have this challenge called the relationship diet, right?
30 days, sex, dating, hunting, hoping, and flirting.
And so this is where for 30 days, there's no dates, no flirting with women or men or whoever you like, no sex, and no masturbation, right?
Yeah.
For 30 days. And you did this. You did this.
That's right. No. Yeah. It's essentially, the whole point of this practice is to stop using the, whatever you're attracted to, stop using the energy of that in order to make yourself feel better about yourself. Because that's usually what we're doing. I mean, we're we're flirting, we're engaging, we're on dating apps, we're watching porn, we're constantly hoping that something outside of me is gonna finally fulfill me and fill me up. And in that place, so long as we live there, we're destined for disappointment and frustration and resentment.
Because no one's ever going to fill you up like you are.
No, that's right. So, this diet, this 30-day diet, which I did myself. I mean, I created this because I did it, and it was fucking terrifying. I mean, I told you, Tyler shared with you more, like the first time I tried,
you failed.
I fell off the wagon 7 days in and landed right on top of this cute blonde at a music festival. So I had to hop back on the wagon and start over. It was not easy, but it was one of the most profound experiences of my life. And I remember having this experience where I was about 2 weeks in, and I was walking through the Whole Foods in Venice, California, which it may as well be a modeling agency, that Whole Foods. The most beautiful women in the world are hanging out in every aisle of that Whole Foods.
Eating healthy made fun.
And I was 2 weeks into this diet, which meant, before I was doing this, I might go into to a Whole Foods like that, and I'd be like lingering constantly. I'd be like loitering in the produce section, fondling vegetables I had no idea what to do with, just because there was some cute girl there that I wanted to hang around a little bit longer and maybe talk to. I now on this diet, it was like, go in, get your fucking vegetables, and get out. Like mission mode, get out. Just enjoy, be fully there, but get the fuck out. No loitering. And I'll tell you, man, I was so horny. We're gonna call back, Joel, to horny. I was so fucking horny. I was so alive in my body, though. My body was so alive, and because I wasn't putting anyone else on the hook to do anything about it for me, but I was just being with it. I was so alive. I remember walking through that Whole Foods. I wanted to fuck everything. I felt like a giant just walking through Whole Foods. I was so alive and so connected to my body, so in my vitality. I mean, I wanted to fuck everything. Every woman, man, dog, every pack of bread. Like I just was so alive. I wanted to penetrate the world, but it was an energy thing. I didn't really want to fuck it. I mean, I'm joking, but it was my energy was so alive. It was unforgettable, and I felt so powerful. This is what it was, such an empowering experience that I really felt fully connected to myself in a way that I hadn't in years, because before that my energy was so leaky all over the place. So that's the power and the potential of doing this. Even if you don't do it for 30 days, do it for 7 days.
Yeah.
And you can sign up for it on my website. It's free too.
So there you go, guys. If your picker is if you're half retarded when you pick your women, and you can never figure it out, or you don't have your self-worth, go for this challenge.
So speaking of your website, Bryan, where can people learn more about you and find out more about what you do?
Yeah, so my website is Bryan, just my name, Bryan Reeves, and it's Bryan with a Y, B-R-Y-A-N, Bryan Reeves, REEVES.com. It's all there, my blogs, got a lot of videos.
And you have some books too, right?
Programs, teaching about boundaries and all this relationship stuff. And I just want you to know, though, I'm not some expert on high, some master who's figured all this shit out and has no more I'm in this too. I'm going through it too. I'm in relationship, and I have an amazing woman, but she and we are each other's greatest teachers. So I'm in it with you.
And you have a couple books too?
I do. I have a book on Amazon. I have two on Amazon. One's more of a pamphlet. It's sort of the companion guide to the dating diet. But I have a book called Tell the Truth, Let the Peace Fall Where It May on Amazon. All about my own journey and my own insights and waking up to what it means to tell the truth, to really live an authentic, truth-filled life in spite of everything around me that kind of makes it scary to do that. And you have a podcast too, don't you? I also do have a podcast. Yeah. It's called Men This Way.
Men This Way.
Life Insights from Wise Men.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, Bryan. It's been great. There's a lot of fucking knowledge in here. A lot of good stuff. But guys, if you like this podcast, if you liked anything about this podcast, we're the Dads Who Lift podcast, but you don't have to be a dad and you don't have to lift. Anybody that really is trying to better themselves or have a better life can get something out of this podcast. So I know Brian's going to share this as well. We're going to share it to our group. Brian's going to share it to his following as well. So anybody that like this podcast, please, we love 5-star reviews. If nothing else, subscribe. We're on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, all that stuff.
Brian, can't thank you enough for coming on, man.
My pleasure, Joe and Tyler, man. I
just
enjoyed this. Just a conversation between guys. I like it.
One more. Does your hat say Me Undies or Mick Undies?
I am wearing a MeUndies hat, and I am wearing MeUndies undies.
Nice.
I'm not paid by them. There's no sponsorship here. It's really fucking comfortable underwear, and I like it.
There you go. Sweet.
MeUndies wants to sponsor me. Let's talk.
Right. Get a hold of Brian. So, all right, man. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We're gonna end this, and I'll talk to you here on our next session, man.
All right. Look forward to it.
All right, dude. Take care.
Y'all beneath them speeches trying to air a grievance, but his lines are overhead. Better check the air for clearance. Call the tower. This is ours. Clear the heat, the air apparent. Really, I've never been better. Legacy, this is forever. All the more times I've been severed. I'm raising the bar. You can go ahead and measure. Think about time for a toast. Time that we welcome to go. Yo, we're just leaving.
On next week's episode of the Dads Who Lift podcast, we'll be talking about how you can use intermittent and prolonged fasting for quick and sustainable fat loss.
Listen, there's no way to be the best version of yourself if you're not raising the bar.
Raising the bar isn't just about doing the things you're supposed to be doing. It's about doing those things that no one expects you to do and doing them perfectly.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you love this podcast and you are a dad who lifts, check out our Facebook group, Dads Who Lifts, and join. You can also catch this podcast on SoundCloud, YouTube, www.dadswholifapparel.com. We also have a Dads Who Lift Apparel Facebook page.
Making sure that you know why, because this is forever.